Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, so Conor Benn defeats Adrian Granados. Alright, 10 round UD. Now, I'm just going to say it. I was not too impressed with Conor Benn in this fight. Now, I will understand. Adrian Granados did he knows how to survive. He's learned that over the years. He's been in there with some very, very good fighters. He's only ever been stopped once by Danny Garcia. That was 2 years ago. He's definitely seen better days, but he's wily. He knows how to ride the shots. He knows how to get out of the way of the shots. He knows how to take the sting out of the shots. He was on his bike for the majority of this fight. But what I was looking at from Conor Benn was I saw someone who really struggles to set up the big shot. All Conor Benn was doing was throwing 1-2s and was loading up on every single shot. There are several things that does, right? One, you're not telegraphing the shot. So I was looking at that fight and I was just thinking, I know people want to dismiss Josh Kelly and say, he was a hype job. Look, I always felt Josh Kelly was overrated, personally, but I always felt him against Conor Benn would be a competitive fight. And I was just thinking, if that was Kelly in there with his movement, with his timing, with his speed, he would be lighting Conor Benn up like a Christmas tree in there. It's not to say I'd necessarily pick Josh Kelly to win, but from a style point of view, early on, he definitely have success in there against Conor Benn. Conor Benn fights very emotional. I think that's the best way to describe it. He puts everything into everything he does when he's throwing his shots. Like, you see him at the end, he's there banging his chest and screaming at Adrian Granados. He does come across a very emotional character. Now, Conor Benn, with a lot of things he was doing in this fight, as I said, he was really just throwing 1-2s. Wasn't setting up the shots. For me, it was like he was just constantly looking for the one-punch knockout. When you're looking for a knockout, it never tends to come because you're forcing the shots. You're not really letting it flow. When you get into your rhythm and you get into your box and you let the shots flow, it's normally when the knockout tends to come. Now, Granados was able to land a couple of shots on Conor Benn, was able to land a few hooks, couple of jabs, couple of right hands here and there. Nothing really of note that would bother Conor Benn. Although, to be fair, his left eye did get a little bit swollen. It looked, to me anyway, it certainly did look that way. And I do think Conor Benn does swell a little bit because against Cedric Payneau in the first fight, his eyes were kind of pretty badly swollen. Not devastatingly swollen, but they were definitely swelling up. When I look at this fight, I just think to myself, Conor Benn talks about, he's ready for crack at world title, this, that and the other. He's named Sean Porter after the Samuel Vargas fight. I just look at Conor Benn and I just think, you know what? A lot of work still needs to be done with this kid. If he went in there against someone who could either punch or had very good timing, he is going to struggle a lot. Now, this fight was meant to be a 12 rounder, got moved to a 10 rounder. Would have been interesting to see. You never know what the other two rounds would have happened. Probably would have still been Conor Benn, but nevertheless, it might have been a bit more interesting. I just don't see the way Conor Benn fights, and the way he overexerts himself, the way he doesn't really set anything up, the way he gets so emotionally invested in things, I think that's a recipe for disaster. Eddie Hearn, I've heard several people mention this, that Eddie Hearn was looking to get David Avanesian, I think, a world title crack, so he could vacate the European title, so Ben could fight for the vacant title. They've named Adrian Broner. Basically, Eddie Hearn is naming older fighters with names for Conor Benn to go in there and fight. He is trying to make money off Conor Benn. It's understandable. He draws us. He's a big draw. But if we're talking about moving him up, to world level or anything like that, not anytime soon, in my opinion. He has a lot to work on. A lot. I think they've matched Ben very carefully over the years. Like, put it like this, he's never been in there with a big puncher. He's never been in there against someone who has very good time, very effective counter puncher. I think if he fought one of them two, he could be in some serious trouble. Serious trouble. When I look at the guys at kind of fringe world level in the welterweight division, your guys like your Kabalaskas, I think that would be a very bad matchup for someone like Conor Benn. David Avanesian, again, a very, very bad matchup. Someone who is very good at tucking up tight and getting his shots off, punching with you. I think that with Ben, there's a lot that can go wrong there. And I do like watching Conor Benn, I have to say. I do enjoy watching him. But I think we look at the Samuel Vargas fight, and that was a premature stoppage. It really was. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if that had gone further. I think with Conor Benn, they really do need to put the brakes on him. You hear people like, Harley Quinn, as I call him, saying he's the best prospect in the welterweight division. In my opinion, no. No, there's definitely a lot better fighters out there, and I think that even a Sergei Lipinets would be a big, big, big risk for Conor Benn at this stage. Serious big risk. So he got the win. That's the main thing. He moves on, but definitely for me, there's a lot of worrying. He needs to improve from this performance, and I'm sure he will, because he can't fight that recklessly, looking to load up on every shot, not setting any shots up, just overexerting himself constantly. And I just think it's a sense of almost like him wanting to prove something to himself. Like I remember against Cedric Payneau, when Payneau dropped him a couple of times and Payneau would have success. It was almost like red mist was descending on Conor Benn. Like my man was being threatened almost to that. Maybe that's a poor analogy, but almost like that. And I just think that if Ben wants to succeed, he needs to calm it down. Because Ben can box a little bit. If he just calmed it down and boxed a bit and just didn't worry about going for the one-punch knockout, just set the shots up, he'd look a lot better. Because early on, I was just thinking Josh Kelly. I was like, if that was Josh Kelly in there, I'm like, oh boy, that could be nasty. Early on, certainly, because Josh Kelly does tend to fade a little bit as he goes down along the line, but early on, he would light Conor Benn up like a Christmas tree in there, just with counters, angles, movement, timing, speed. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Let me know yours in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. #GMansRocks, all that good stuff. For now, lads and lads, I'll talk to you in a wee bit. Peace.